The saber cats continued their relentless assault while Yuri managed to fend off more of them. Out of nowhere, a saber cat lunged at her, catching her off guard. Just as it was about to strike, her pet intervened, slamming the beast into the ground and saving Yuri. She took a deep breath, overwhelmed by the sheer number of attackers. Scanning the group of beasts, she wondered where the variant might be hiding. Meanwhile, Jihan called out to Saihu, urging her to use levitation. Saihu, frustrated, shouted back that she had been using it all along. Jihan realized that while Saihu had managed to slow them down, it wasn't enough to halt them midair. Desperate, Jihan decided to cast a powerful spell he had hoped to avoid using. Channeling his mana, he unleashed Air Bomb. Saihu watched in surprise as the spell worked. Jihan, exhausted but determined, readied his blade. He recalled how he had cut the bird variant earlier and decided to use a similar attack. He unleashed Air Cutter, slicing through the ground and hitting the remaining beasts. Jihan and Saihu landed onto the ground. Jihan, despite his efforts to conserve mana, had pushed himself to the limit. Yuri, frustrated and desperate, shouted at her allies to leave and questioned why they hadn't done so already. Jihan interrupted her, exasperated. "I'm here to help, and that's all you have to say." Yuri retorted that she didn't need their help. Jihan, puzzled, asked what her issue was with the saber cats. Suddenly, Yuri and her pet's attention was caught by more saber cats emerging from the shadows. Saihu announced that their previous attack hadn't eliminated all of them. Jihan realized these new saber cats weren't the same ones they had fought earlier, and inferred that the variant must be summoning more of them. Yuri explained that the variant's legs should have been shattered by now, indicating a problem. Jihan deduced that the variant must possess regenerative abilities he had never encountered before. Yuri, visibly shaken, struggled to process this revelation. Her mind flashed back to a traumatic memory, someone calling her name through a haze of blood, urging her to run while she stood paralyzed in shock. Returning to the present, Jihan assessed the situation. Most of the saber cats are defeated, and the variant is injured. We need to come up with a plan. But Yuri, determined and undeterred, dashed off ahead. Jihan couldn't comprehend her reckless behavior and understood why she was known as a solo player. He called out to Saihu, "Cover my back," as he prepared for the battle ahead. As more saber cats lunged at Yuri, she dispatched them with ease. Finally, she spotted the variant. But just as she was about to close in, a saber cat attacked from behind. She swiftly defeated it, growling, "Get out of my way." Her distraction, however, allowed the variant to strike. Yuri was stunned by how quickly it had regained its speed. She feared this might be the end for her. Jihan dashed in, taunting the variant. "You'd find her as cold as ice if you tried to eat her." He slashed off one of its arms, eliciting a howl of pain from the beast. As Yuri's pet landed heavily on the variant, smashing it into the ground. Saihu used Air Lance to immobilize the creature, preparing for Jihan's finishing blow. Suddenly, Yuri stepped in front of Jihan, shouting for him not to kill the variant. Jihan, forced to halt, demanded, "What are you doing? Get out of the way, we need to defeat it before it regenerates." Yuri insisted that she needed the variant alive and pleaded with him not to kill it. Jihan, incredulous, argued, "Capturing it is insane, move aside." Yuri, resolute, prepared to attack Jihan if he didn't comply. With a frustrated expression, Jihan questioned Saihu's involvement in this madness. In that moment, the variant, gathering its strength, roared and broke free from its restraints. Jihan and Saihu stared in shock as the variant roared and broke free. As more saber cats rushed in to attack, Jihan realized he was out of mana and was at a loss for what to do. In the midst of their confusion, a mocking voice echoed, calling them pathetic. A hooded player appeared, activating gravity control and pinning the saber cats to the ground. Jihan, taken aback, shouted, "Who are you?" The voice responded with a scornful, "Amateurs." Jihan's eyes widened in recognition. "It's the examiner, Yunchik," he muttered, dismayed. Yunchik expressed his disappointment, noting that despite passing the class for exam, they couldn't handle a mere group of saber cats. One of Yunchik's team members smirked, commenting that Jihan hadn't turned out to be the prodigy they expected. Another team member remarked that they had held out longer than anticipated. Yunchik cut them off sharply, instructing them to stop talking and clean up the mess. His party, standing by, prepared to assist. From a distance, someone remarked, "Finally, a big shot has arrived." Ninsu observed with a hint of disappointment as he recognized Team 3 from the Dice Guild. He had hoped Team 1 would show up instead. When asked about the next steps, Minsu replied, "There's nothing more we can do here. We'll head back." He added that the experiment wasn't a total failure. Despite the issue with the crystal melting into the blood, the power displayed was impressive. With a sinister smile, Minsu instructed his team to continue with their schedule. If you've enjoyed this recap and made it to the end, consider subscribing. It really helps me out, especially since I juggle a full-time job while making videos in my spare time.